What's up, guys? This is Kephas. Blizzard is now trying every expansion to find things that will hook us, right? Like a new system, a new idea, a new gameplay mechanic, a new gimmick, or however you want to call it. Like they're trying their best to come up with something new. In Legion, they did first they did dailies, right? Like in Mob, it was dailies. We're just gonna go crazy on the dailies. People complain that they don't have anything to do, things are repetitive. We'll add tons of dailies. That didn't work. People didn't like it. There were so many dailies. It was just like, oh my god, this is too much. And it's dailies, and dailies aren't always fun because, like, you can have a good idea and it can be fun, in one expansion, and then it's not fun anymore. That happens a lot with this game. So it was dailies, and then they're like, okay, we'll take away the dailies in WoD, and we'll add this garrison system, and you can work towards that. Well, that didn't work because then you didn't have any gameplay, and you're just focusing on this garrison, and it felt like you're playing a phone game. No one liked that either, right? So, okay, we won't do that anymore, but in Legion, we're going to add these world quests. They're not dailies, but they're kind of like dailies, but they're a little bit quicker, and you can do as many as you want. You don't have to do them all, but you can find the ones that give you the reward that you're working towards, and there you go. You can do as many as you want, and people loved it, and it worked. And also, we're going to add this cool artifact weapon. You can work towards that, and that's going to be cool. So that was also pretty fun. People liked that a lot. So in BFA, they tried to do the same thing, but it wasn't as good. It was worse. Okay, so by this point, world quests, people are seeing through them, right? Like, okay, world quests are just dailies where you're rep grinding. That's all they are, okay? And, you're grinding all this crap that you don't want. You don't need resources because what you're using them for is useless. Don't really care about this artifact grind anymore. And so a lot of people did, but people that wanted to gear up and do the raid maybe, but most people were just like, no, I'm not feeling it. You're still getting so much. Look at this. Almost about to level up again. This is crazy. So it's just different for different people, right? And I was in that camp. BFA didn't work for me because I didn't care about the gameplay. Okay, is what I'm getting at. I didn't care about the system. I didn't care about the gameplay. And I think that's kind of like what I'm worried about for the next expansion, right? The Covenant system, I don't know. We'll see. It's another system. It's another can of paint on the same thing, right? And that's kind of what I'm worried about. There's one here I'm not even going to bother doing because you got to go into a cave, and it's like, not worth it. Cause it's really not worth it. But I'll do this one. It's not so bad. So that's like when I look at the Covenant system, I'm really interested in it. I want to see how it goes, but I'm not like, it's not what's selling me about it right now. What I'm interested in is going to the new zones, seeing all the new content, and then like learning about how seeing all the class changes. I'm excited about the controller support, new features like that. I'm not even really focused on endgame. What I've seen so far, we'll see. It's not like I'm, just can't wait for it to get here. Like I've been like I've been in the past, right? Like nothing's got me like, oh man, like in Mist, it was like, oh, I can't wait to play a monk. I can't wait to go to Pandaria and like see all these cool pandas and all this cool stuff, right? Like that had me hooked. Legion, can't wait to play a demon hunter, right? Like that was what was like the initial thing. BFA didn't kind of the same thing. I wasn't, but in Legion, I was excited about artifact weapons. Like, dude, I get an artifact weapon, I get to like class haul. This might be cool. And in WoD, to their credit, I was excited about the garrisons. It seemed like that was going to be something big that I got to work towards, right? It didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But this time, we'll see. Covenants, maybe they're cool. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe it'll work out well. It's hard to say, because, if it becomes very repetitive and it's just like, it's here's your new UI, you're going to just do this thing with your UI, but there aren't a lot of like significant changes to like, your gameplay experience. Like it's just going to be the same, right? And that's kind of the thing is like, people might feel differently about this, but like, this is why it's hard for me to explain this because I don't exactly know how to explain it. But like when I play this game, I'm looking for things to evolve and things to advance. I'm not looking to continue with the status quo. And I'm worried that covenants are just going to be the status quo. You know what I mean? Like, because, again, and I'm sorry to compare it to Final Fantasy, but there's a lot of, like, for one, Final Fantasy is a very story-driven game. So the game's honestly always evolving because your personal story is evolving, okay? That's kind of cool. The story's a little bit more focused on characters and stuff like that, which there are great characters in WoW. And the story, in WoW has always been one of my favorite parts. I haven't liked it as much lately, to be honest, but it's still one of my favorite parts. And there is that aspect of it. Where's the story going to go? But I can find out about that by not playing it. You know what I mean? And that's one of the big things about WoW is that the most of the story develops outside of the game, anyways. So that's not exactly a hook like it is in Final Fantasy. In Final Fantasy, the story is in the game. You're going to learn about the story by completing the game, and of course, you could watch other people do it, sure, but it's going to have the impact of you playing through it yourself. In WoW, you don't have that, right? So story ain't exactly what I would say is a driving factor in this game, because they never put it in the game. They don't put a lot of cutscenes. They don't put a lot of events like that in the game like they do in like Final Fantasy, like I said, or other games. So that's not going to work. So you're not evolving through the story necessarily. The story is evolving, but like I said, most of that is outside of the game, and then the game kind of enhances that, or has the zones and the aftermath or whatever in there. But most of the things, you're not going to go and witness Bolvar and Sylvanas fight in the game. You saw a cutscene. You saw a cool cinematic, right? You don't have to play the game for that kind of stuff. So that's not going to draw people. It's not going to draw me either. So what evolves? What evolves in the game? Is it just going to be here's the new zones, here's the new level? Well, the level cap's going to go down. That's going to be kind of crazy. And then here you go. You go do what you did before, but here's the new UI to sort of cover kind of the new coat of paint. Like I said, that doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? That doesn't work for me anymore. I want there to be an evolution to the game in a way. There has to be something new. There has to be something that I think, in my opinion, each expansion needs to bring something new to the game on a more permanent basis. And that's what sucks. It's we're going to be going into Legion here soon, and nothing matters anymore because I'm not going to keep my artifact weapon. It doesn't matter. Just like the garrison here doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. You're just you're going through it and you're trying to get through it as quickly as possible. In Final Fantasy, one of the things that's great about that game is each expansion brings something new. And as you level up and you progress through the main story quest line, which is where the story's at, so you're doing the main story quest line, you're unlocking more of the story. You're learning about more of the game. It's story driven, right? That's kind of cool. And then as you go, you unlock different features in the game that will be with you from then on. So some people, you'll be well, where'd you get that chocobo? Well, you gotta do the chocobo quest line. You'll unlock your chocobo. Well, when do I do that? Well, when you finish the main story quest line, or up to this point, there's a branching quest where you'll get to do that. Oh, cool. Stuff like that. How do you do those squadron missions? Well, you gotta go through this aspect of the game and you'll unlock them. See, there's a lot of things that you unlock in the game, and that adds more gameplay, more features, more unlocks, more of a drive to do that kind of stuff. We've leveled up again. We are level 102. This is crazy. So when I say, and I've been talking forever now, when I say what I look forward to, it's stuff like that. I want to have a game, an expansion in WoW, where the gameplay is the driving force. Okay, where the gameplay is what's interesting, and it's adding something new. It's not something that I've done a million times before, okay? It's something completely different. It's not just a new can of paint. It's not just a new interface. Here's something new for you to do. Knock yourself out, right? That's what I personally look forward to, and what I want when I play the game, okay? And I'm not sure if Shadowlands is going to give me that in the long term. I'm just being honest. I don't know. Shadowlands, I'm excited for a couple of things. One, I get to make more guides, right? That's going to be fun. What WoW is for me these days is what I actually have fun doing is it's the meta. I actually enjoy making guides for YouTube. That's the gameplay that I get now. I make guides and I make macros, right? That's probably the biggest thing that I personally look forward to. BFA gave me a lot of fun because I got to do stuff like that. That's cool. I don't mind it. But as the game, for the game itself, not really. You know what I mean? Like, BFA was a big strike for me. Big strikeout. Did not work. I'd say 8.2 was my favorite part. I like the Nomergon stuff. That was pretty sweet. And Nashatar wasn't so bad either. I mean, there was some fun stuff in BFA. I'm not trying to say that it was all bad, okay? Don't misunderstand me. But what I'm saying is, like, for me to be into it long term, you got to add a lot of cool stuff for me to want to do and make me look forward to, like, what am I doing this for? What am I going to unlock? What's it really going to matter in the long term? Because, like, if it's just like, here's the new ride, you're going to ride it for a couple years and then you're done, I'm not into it. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how cool it looks. It doesn't matter how neat the UI looks. It doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Because I've done, like, I've gotten smart, right? I've done this now a number of times, right? So it doesn't mean anything. And I'm not talking about, like, the gear, okay? The thing is, like, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about gear, okay? I don't mind grinding out the gear to the highest item level, and then that gear means nothing in the next expansion. I'm not talking about that. That's fine, okay? I don't mind the cycle to continue in terms of gear, okay? What I'm talking about is this is what this expansion brought to the game, okay? This is how this expansion enhanced your character, enhanced your gameplay experience in the long run, in the grand scheme of the game. Unfortunately, WoW isn't treated that way. There's this expansion, and then this expansion is meaningless as soon as the next one comes out. No, not a big fan of that. I want the whole game to continue to evolve. And WoW doesn't really evolve, it reinvents itself, right? To me, that doesn't work. That doesn't interest me, because when it reinvents itself, basically what it's doing is it's redoing the same thing that it did before and just, like I said, putting a new can of paint on it. So that's why, like, I'm not sold yet. I'm not sold on the actual game. I'm not sold on what the game's gonna do. I'm excited about the new story, the new zones, and all that kind of stuff, but that's not gonna last forever. So in the short term, what am I excited for? I'm excited for the new zones, the story. I'm excited to see how the classes have changed. You know, that kind of stuff. That interests me. What am I excited for in the long term? I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see how fun it is when it comes out. But is it going to be able to compete with other games that I'm going to want to play? I don't know. Probably not. To be completely honest, I don't think it will. Not anymore. And I'm not saying it couldn't. I'm just saying that no, I don't think, because, like, you know, back when I played WoW all the time and I had friends and, like, you know, all of that stuff, like I said, that was kind of like, you know, kind of covering for, you know, like the faults, I guess, or like what's the word? The sort of the weaknesses in WoW. Like, there, you know, I had friends that kind of cover that stuff. Like, WoW's a very repetitive, long, kind of grindy game, but it was so much fun because I was playing with friends. That made that aspect of it better. But it was also really fun because it's this humongous world that you're in, where you get to, like, level up this character and you got this long progression, and it, like, you're, you know, working towards something that's meaningful. At least it feels like it is, and it's cool, and there's all these people. You know, it has its strengths, right? But these days, you know, for someone like me who's not just, like, you know, not just one of those people that plays WoW and that's all I play a lot of games. WoW has to compete with a lot of other things now, right? And, you know, it's a questionable if it will succeed at competing, you know, with those other games. I don't know. You know, I don't know if it will or not anymore. And so, like, if it doesn't do more, yeah, these aren't giving as much, but it's okay. If it doesn't do more to compete, then I don't know if it's going to work, you know, if it's going to work for me in the long term. I'm always going to come back. Like, don't misunderstand. Just like WoW, I will always come back to WoW. Every new patch where they add new content, I'll be back, right? I'll be back for a little bit. But then I'm probably going to move on to something else. Not after a little while. You know? And I guess that's okay. I mean, maybe that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not at all a bad thing. I don't need to just play WoW anymore. And it may be tough on my channel sometimes because a lot of people like just to see WoW content. But, you know, it gives me the opportunity to look at other games, look at other things, play. Like, you guys saw, I mean, how many times have I talked about my backlog now? I got tons of games to play. I'm not worried. I'm not, like, you know, putting all my chips on WoW like I used to, okay? So it's fine. But in the long run, like, I would like to see them take different approaches to how they do in, you know, new expansions. Not even in-game content, but, like, the new expansions, right? Like make them mean more, make them, like, here's what we're gonna do with this expansion. We're gonna actually try to experiment this time. Okay, we're gonna try something new, and we're gonna try to see what we can do to bring the game forward and make it more interesting. Because we're gonna do things that will have a meaningful impact on your gameplay. What if it doesn't work? Well, we can always revert it, right? If it doesn't work, we can always change it back. We can always try something else. What I don't like is when it's like, we're going to do the same thing and we're going to maintain the status quo, okay? That doesn't work for me, man. I'm sorry. And I'm not like, I know people are going to say, well, that's just what the game is, right? You can't just, it's an MMO. It's always going to be an MMO. It's like, I'm not talking about changing the MMO. I'm not saying like, I'm not even saying like change the Trinity or whatever, like tank, healer, DPS. I'm not even saying that. Like you can keep all that kind of stuff. You can keep target system. You can keep you don't have to make WoW an action combat game or anything like that. I'm talking about like just features in the game that give you something new to do in the game. Like whether it's player housing or something else. Like I don't even know. Like something different that you can do. I don't know what it is. But I think that and again, like, look, if you're somebody that you just like the way things are, you don't have to agree with me, it's fine. But I hope that you can, it's very hard to, been a long explanation for this, I guess. Just trying to help people understand, like, where I come from and stuff like this. But, like, I guess, like, when I look at Shadowlands, I'm excited, but I'm not excited like I used to get for WoW. And it's not because I'm over the game or whatever. It's like because I play other games. I love Final Fantasy. It's very similar to WoW actually. But it does a lot of things that WoW doesn't do that I like. You know what I mean? To WoW's credit, WoW does a lot of cool things I don't like for Final Fantasy. For one, I like the fact that I like WoW's art style better. I like the fact that just to be completely honest with you, that there are strong characters in the game, like tough looking dudes. I've talked about it before. Some people may not like it. I like tough looking dudes. I like dudes to look like they're about to rip your head off, like this guy I'm playing here. I like rugged because it's what I identify with. I like rugged dudes. I want to be a badass. You know what I mean? Final Fantasy, you can play as a bunch of elves or like really hot babes. That's cool, I guess. But all the dudes look kind of There's like one race that's really cool looking, and then there's like the cat dudes, which look kind of awesome. But if you want to be like just a dude, like a normal dude that looks like a dude, like, oh man, I'm probably making people mad. I don't even care. It's my opinion, and I have a right to it. I like what I like. It doesn't have that. But WoW has plenty. It has orcs, has Tauren, has humans that look awesome. Everybody looks tough in this game. It's cool. So it does do that pretty well. And then I like the world better for sure. But there are systems. I actually think that WoW has. I like WoW's content better, and by that I mean like the art style, the worlds, the story. Which Final Fantasy has a pretty cool story, to be honest, though. I like WoW's old story better. But I like Final Fantasy's gameplay better. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it is. I personally like, because art, well, it's all subjective. People can like what they like. It's fine. But Final Fantasy's gameplay really hooks me, in a way that WoW's doesn't anymore. And a lot of that's just because there's a lot of long-term progression, and it doesn't a lot of times it doesn't feel like here's the cutoff point and here's the new expansion. It just kind of feels like one big continuous game. And I think that's what I really like about it. Even though there is totally here's the new zones, you can totally tell you're breaking into the next storyline, right? The next expansion. It's there. It's not as obvious as it is in WoW. You know what I mean? Well, I'll give you an example. So when I logged in after hitting 78 here, which is forever ago now, I got a random quest from Varian. It's yo, come to Stormwind. You got to go deal with the Legion now. You know what I mean? That's just kind of very bleh. Okay, how did he message me? How did I get this item in my inventory? How did any of that happen exactly? You know what I mean? It's just very okay, you're done. Move on to the next place now. I don't like that, man. I'm just not a big fan of how they do their expansions. And that's kind of what it is. We'll see. We'll see about Shadowlands. I'm excited. the cutscene got me hype. Not gonna lie, straight up, like I'm pretty pumped for it. But you know, and what will it be in the long term? I don't know. Short term, I'm excited. Long term, don't know yet. That's kind of like what my answer is. Guess I could have said that first to kind of give you the answer, but like I had to explain why. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have to explain it because it just like I'm not trying to be, you know, like I don't want people to think that I'm a negative, right? Or like I don't like the game or whatever. I love WoW, man. Like it's a good game. It's still fun. I'm gonna play the crap out of it. I'm gonna like when Shadowlands comes. Holy crap! These like tons of these things. When Shadowlands comes out, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get in. I want to look up how how the controller support works. I'm excited about that. I'm gonna make videos about that. See how things go there. And then when new classes, you know, are out, I'm gonna like take a look at all those. I'm gonna get all new guides out for new classes. You know, like I'm totally gonna do all that kind of stuff. We were totally 103, and we are still in Gorgon. It's kind of crazy. I want to go do like 1 or 2 more of these world quests, and then I promise we will leave and we'll move on to Legion content. I don't even know if Legion would be faster or not. I just like, I mean, this is really fast, so whatever. So like, I'm excited, man. Like I'm going to play the crap out of it. I want to do all kinds of videos. I want to make new guides. I'm going to level up a new character. You know, like. That's totally going to happen. I'm going to see what the new, like, it's going to probably be like the shortest leveling series ever because they're trying to make it like super fast, which is a good and a bad thing. Honestly, it just depends on what your perspective is. But you know, like we'll see. Like we'll see what happens in the long term for me personally. Like WoW's not going to go anywhere from this channel, for sure. Like I'm like right now, obviously, you know, we're getting out the guides for. Oh, are we in that area now? We're getting out the guides for Classic, and I'm hoping those go well. And then we'll see what we do after that. Oh yeah, here we go. And then we're gonna do Shadowlands stuff for sure. But like for my personal interest in the game, you know, that's kind of where, you know, that's kind of where it's where I'm questioning it a little bit, I guess. Like I'm hoping that it'll be good, but I mean, there's a lot of great games out there, man. You know, and that's, you know, like I hope, like for example, like, you know, people like look, you know, I will make all kinds of videos for this game, right? Like I want to make, like, you know, videos for this game, and then like for my channel and for me personally, I'm going to try other games too. Like I've been playing a lot of like some Nintendo games, and you know, like I'm going to be doing an Overwatch series for sure, and I hope that people will check it out. You know, I'm excited about it, and you know, it's something that I want to do because it's something that like I'm excited about, and I think that that's important. You know what I mean? Like you have to do things that excite you. You know, like I could keep up the status quo. I could keep going with solely with what works, or I can do a lot of stuff for what people, you know, like for what works, and I can try other things as well. And if it doesn't work, hey, at least I had fun in the process. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how my perspective is on the whole thing. So, like, you know, going to be doing a lot of WoW content. I hope that you guys will all, you know, you'll be there to check out like, you know, other content that I do as well. Because like I said, I have ideas. Honestly, like, I mean, I'm still playing it. I'm still kind of new at it, like, because I keep taking breaks. You know, like, because it's hard to play multiple MMOs. So like I've been focusing a lot on WoW. I kind of just like unsubbed from Final Fantasy for a while because I was making all those WoW guides, and I wanted to make sure that I got those done. I wanted to make sure that I get some classic stuff out. I wanted to make sure that that was what was being focused on. So I took a break. Now that I'm kind of like getting those classic guides, they're all done, they're all up, they're all scheduled out for the next couple of months. You know, I'm hopping back in because I've been wanting to see, like I've been wanting to get further and progress. But like I could totally see myself doing the exact same type of guide for classes in Final Fantasy that I do for WoW. You know, beginner guides, no macros, because that game, I tell you, that game macros do not work, man. You gotta play it the hard way. But I could totally you know, I could totally make class guides for that game. Different audience, I understand that. Like people may not be into that game, but it's something that I could totally do, and something that I kind of might do. You know what I mean? Like it could be fun, and it could just be an opportunity to do something different and you know, just focus on what I enjoy. I mean, there's like tons of stuff. Like I've got a lot of ideas that I've been going over, and like seriously, you guys, like, you know, like if all you care about is WoW, I respect that totally. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that you can respect, you know, like what my goals are, where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to do. And for those of you that just like to watch the channel and watch whatever the heck I do, I really appreciate like all of you guys that, you know, that watch the WoW stuff, the Zelda stuff, the Mario stuff, you know, whatever I do, I really appreciate it because, like, you know, my hopes is that I can continue to do WoW. I want to make that very clear. I don't ever want to not do WoW stuff for as long as the game's around. As long as I'm interested in it, I want to keep doing it. You know, but like for everything else, like I'm, you know, like I kind of just like I would like to try out different things. I've been playing Overwatch consistently for a year, and now my wife's playing with me. Man, I want to do some Overwatch stuff, man. I think it'd be fun. But what I will always, like, I'm always open for sure to your guys' suggestions. Like whether it's different ideas for WoW, I can consider it as a positive, like as something that I could maybe do. But I would love to hear about like any ideas you guys have, whether it's a different game, whether it's, you know, different guides, whatever it is. Like I'm always open to it because, like, ultimately what gaming has become for me in a lot of ways is more fun stuff to do on this channel. Like, cause like, to be completely honest, and this is the thing about WoW now, like what my friends used to be to WoW for me back in the day, you guys have become for me now, if that makes sense. So like a lot of my enjoyment now for Warcraft comes from like you guys, and that's like, I'm being dead honest, like for real. I enjoy doing WoW content a lot. I like making WoW videos a whole lot, you know. So, you know, like I'm definitely going to keep doing that stuff, but I could do that kind of stuff for a lot of games as well, is what I'm getting at. So, anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, just when I talk about, like, you know, the next expansion, I'm excited for sure. I'm excited in the short term especially, and I'm definitely excited to make new videos, and I want to keep doing that. But in the long term, you know, we will see, of course. But as you can see, things have definitely slowed down here now, even doing the world quests. I could do a few more, but we might as well move on to Legion, where things will be picked up. We're going to go to Legion next. We'll finish off the rest of the to 110 in Legion, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button, and feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.